Greetings and welcome to Kabalistic Perspectives with Minister Gabree and Amlak, yours truly, Babaji. And the purpose of this introductory webinar is to deepen our participants' understanding of the Kabbalah and all of the sciences that come under that umbrella. Kabbalah, even though it's a name that intimidates many people, it just means to receive. The Kabbalah shows us how to use symbols and icons to download the teachings of sacred geometry, astrology, numerology, the tree of life, the tarot. These systems have been for many years misrepresented, and they're actually part of this grand Kabalistic science. And so we will be venturing down this road, which I've been on since 1965. I say 1962. It's been a very interesting, rewarding study that's brought me to the point at which I can now share this information with you, and I'm very happy to be able to do so. If you look at this symbol right here, it looks, of course, like a flame. Well, that's one of the letters in the Hebrew alphabet. And the wonderful thing about the Hebrew alphabet, I don't really relish calling it by any particular name, because these symbols belong to the cosmos. The Star and Crescent doesn't belong to Muslims. The Star of David does not belong to Hebrews. The Christian cross does not belong to Christians. The universal symbols that these particular prospective religions and philosophies adopted to represent their particular teachings. But anyway, this is it's actually a light code, and if you look at it, it's actually a flame. So the so-called Aramaic alphabet is a flaming alphabet, and it actually is the umbrella under which our teachings will be explored. Very powerful, very practical. So once again, the Kabbalah, Kabalistic Perspectives, gives us a deeper understanding of those five sciences: sacred geometry, astrology, tree of life, numerology, and the tarot. And I don't want you to become intimidated. This is a 24-week course, but I don't want you to become intimidated by the complexity of it, because you don't really have to get deeply involved in the whole system to benefit from it. The holy mantra is actually the essence of the system. And the holy mantra is going to show us how to use this flaming alphabet to engrave it in our DNA. Engrave the words that you use, the words we think on habitually, actually engrave and create voids in our aura, in our DNA. And so those positive words that we take into our system draw positive energies. The negative ones we take into it draw a corresponding kind of vibration. So the Kabbalah, once again, is based on the flaming alphabet, which we have come to know as the Aramaic or Hebrew alphabet. And so what we're going to do is we're going to understand how to use that alphabet to our advantage. And I'll give you a quick look at, of course, you've seen them before, may not have known what they represented. But these are the 22 light codes that come under the heading of what we call the Hebrew alphabet. Each one of these letters, brothers and sisters, is a light code. Each one of the letters actually is a zip disk for a particular department of energy, of ideas, of concepts. And we're going to explore those. If you wondered why the Jewish population, which only comprises 5% of the global population, has become so powerful, it's because they've been using a flaming, living language, the Aramaic, ancient, they actually, the better word is their light codes, the DNA of the cosmos. So we have these 22 letters, and they actually also are the constituents of the amino acids that make up our physical organism. They're ingrained in every organ, every gene that comprises, that makes up our system. Each one of these so-called Hebrew letters. And so it's going to be very interesting. And if all you did was memorize these the letters and what they represent, that in and of itself would be sufficient. What we do is we understand that every letter, for example, Aleph means power. Don't try to pull too much in. Just look at it. Your subconscious mind will absorb it all. When you look through a screen, a window, we're told that under hypnosis, your subconscious mind will tell you exactly how many holes within that screen. So don't make this difficult. Just look at the page and absorb it. Don't get caught up in analyzing. Just take a picture of it. For example, though, I want to start by explaining this to you, okay? So if we understand, for example, that this letter here, Aleph, means ox, it means power. Just take in that much. And so if, as the ancients said, there are 8,400,000 life forms, then this letter right here, Aleph, we're told, is a zip disk under which all of the patterns of light that would make up these 8,400,000 life forms is encoded. Beth then it means house. And so Beth tells us that those 8,400,000 life forms, the edifice that houses those energy, are encoded in this letter Beth. And just one more, where if we look then at the letter Gimel, we're told that camel, memory, is the cosmic memory bank under which these frequencies represented by this power and the vessels, the houses that embody them are remembered by the cosmic memory. That's how powerful this particular language is. And the reason we record it is so you can look at it again and again and again. And if you, by any chance, are not a person who likes to study, who doesn't want to put at least a half an hour a day into these teachings, this is not the course for you. It can be highly advantageous to you because engraving these symbols on our genes, on our DNA, draws energy to us subconsciously. It's like you've had the experience of thinking about someone, and when you think about that individual, you find that maybe you thought about that person's house or that person's address, and then you switched off to something else. And then a day or two later, when you were least expecting it, a whole entourage of ideas flooded your conscious mind, because your subconscious mind was constantly looking to resolve that question. What is this person's name? What is the address of this house? And that's how these teachings work. That's why we understand that the word educate means to lead out, because what it's doing is leading out and bringing to the surface that's our potentials. So that's what these letters do. That's what all symbols do. They're electromagnetic forms, and they draw related information to them just by having them in our subconscious mind. Isn't that awesome? Such an awesome study. So all you really would have to do is to learn this alphabet. If that's all you want to do, these 22 letters and what they represent in various combinations, and that would draw to you all the information that you need to make the total spiritual sojourn or journey. Okay, so that is the umbrella. That is actually the major aspect of our teachings. Okay, because that comes under the prayer which I've shared with you right now, and the prayer that comes under is the sacred mantra. This is the umbrella, you see, under which that is actually, if you only memorize and understood this holy mantra inside, in other words, this whole system consists of this holy mantra, and we have 42 Hebrew letters. And those 42 Aramaic letters are the ancients put them into different combinations that actually activate and empower our consciousness in an unimaginable way. So when you hear, for example, in the beginning was the word, what we're being told metaphysically is that the Creator combined these various aspects. The Creator, let's say, combined various energies, various letters here, like Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. If you remember those Hebrew words, or what that tells you is that the Creator put together this word Yod, okay, and put together Hey, and put together Vav, and put together Hey, and that those four letters are what the entire cosmos was created from. And those four letters are in our genes, stamped on our genes. So you see, for example, when Jacob's name was changed to Israel, then those particular letters engraved themselves on the genes of that particular those people in that culture. And drew a whole litany of positive vibrations. Okay? So this then is the master mantra. And the master mantra has in it, teaches us the sciences of astrology, of numerology, of sacred geometry. But if all you and I want to do is to memorize this holy mantra and the 42 letters that is combination words is comprised of, that would be fine. Okay? Now, for those of you who want to go further, okay, so what you have, the holy mantra. Mantra means what? Mantra is a, numerically we get a whole information study here, interesting study, pardon me. Because holy is a 6 vibration, mantra is a 22 vibration. And so the 22 is a 6-pointed star, and the word mantra is a word that means mind, traveling across the ocean of the mind. Mind, man comes from mind. Man means mind, family of thinking beings. And tra is to travel. And so the holy mantra shows you and I how to travel over the ocean of the mind and unite with the cosmic pyramid. And the 6-pointed star reminds us that 6 is a very sacred number. East, west, north, south, above, below. You and I are 6-dimensional. We are conscious beings. We are the conscious beings with a spirit, soul, emotions, mind, and body. And so this teaching shows us how to integrate the yin and the yang. That's what the Star of David, Solomon's seal, represent. This prayer here, Kwadosh, 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 reminds us that this is a prayer that's known in many parts of the world. Have large groups in Brazil and different other parts of the world that use this mantra this ancient, powerful mantra. And it's telling us that holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. And I will, as we go through the sessions, explain to you how these, what each letter here represents, okay? And then we have Kadosh, 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 Adonai Zavayoth. And that takes us, Adonai, of course, is the name of the Almighty, and Zavayoth tells us what the Almighty has prepared us to achieve through the repetition of that name. Very, very powerful. So that is one of that is the major aspect of these teachings. Again, so I don't want you to get intimidated, but oh, I don't want to learn. No. If you just spend a half hour a day studying this 42-word prayer, that is all you need to do. Okay. Then you have the very analytical kind of people, mine, such as myself, and those who teach, who want to go to another level with it. Okay? Work with your temperament. All right? So then we'll move into understanding more about the zodiac. All right? The signs and seasons of our lives. When we study the science of astrology, in Genesis 1:14, excuse me, it talks about the signs and seasons of life. Signs are indicated, it's an omen, a portent. So the signs represent the planetary bodies. Mars, let's say, and Jupiter. Mars is activation, assertion, sometimes aggression, desire. Jupiter would be education, long journeys, travel, consciousness. Well, when those two energies come together, that's the sign of the kind of season those energies are going to create. So a person may become more dynamic, more assertive in pursuing some activity that deals with religion, education, etc. Okay? All right. See, what the energies do, it tells that they don't compel us. They make suggestions. They impel. It's up to us as conscious beings to make a decision that's advantageous to our development, but in many instances we don't follow that intuitive self. I've had clients, because of the planet Jupiter was strong in their chart, or Uranus was strong, Uranus, the planet of change their whole lifestyle, leave their family, responding mechanically. Every day it happens. Okay, so the value of these teachings, astrology actually helps you to look at the weather report at all times. I look in people's chart like Brother Dick Gregory, Dr. Sabi, the pastor, I believe it was it Charlotte or Charleston, who had that unfortunate situation, and you can see in Prince's chart, you can see spelled out like a weather report just what kind of energies was affecting the situation. And if they had adhered the advice, it very well could have saved their life. In Las Vegas, we had an energy that deals with law and order and morality, and we had another energy that dealt with aggression. Had a clash about a month ago when they had that massive massacre out here. It could have been avoided. So it behooves us, it benefits us to understand these sciences. You can save a lot of time in terms of relationships by looking under the hood and seeing what kind of energy that person is walking with, and whether that's a compatible energy for you to be involved intimately with. Okay, so this is one of these. So these signs and seasons is a part of our studies for those who want to go to that depth. It tells us about the 12 signs, and also it tells us about the 22 Hebrew letters, because they integrated. They're twins. They're expressions of one another. 12 signs, 10 planets, 22 Aramaic letters, Hebrew letters. Okay. You see, my brothers and sisters, one problem that we're having is that we are not aligning ourselves with the cosmos. And so the so-called dumb animals who don't need GPS signals to tell them what to do and where to go, even cockroaches and goldfish, when a natural catastrophe is coming, pack their bags and head for the hills. But we're in a society that has been purposely engineered so that we are blocked off from the signals, insulated, purposely. I want to talk to you more about that. But one idea we want to look at is that the moon gets full from right to left. So a clock that's giving us the time from left to right is not in tune with the cosmos. 13 months, 12 months in a year that has 13 moons is not giving us the right signals. And on and on and on. Synthetic clothes that block out all of the natural currents that insulate us from the natural energies, not on the right page. But anyway, okay? So we need to return to study these sciences. We've been conditioned our fundamental brothers and sisters telling us, oh, that's evil. Even though the scriptures tell you that, they're going to make it mean something else. We found the baby Jesus through understanding, whether it's allegorically or historically, through looking at the stars. So you look at the stars on any person's birth, and you see the configurations, and you see the kind of soul that's going to be born under that energy. Okay? Hippocrates, the so-called father of that medicine, but he has some power and some even understanding. Maybe he studied, as we say, in Egypt. But he said that a doctor or physician that does not understand astrology should not call herself a physician. You don't operate, you don't perform certain surgical procedures under certain astrological energies. So it's a very valuable science. And then do not let any religious teaching tell you that it's not. Investigate it for yourself. And I don't want you to throw away the baby with the bath water. All of these religions at a symbolical level have a deep, deep teaching for us to acquire. It's when you take them to an historical level is when you get lost. So astrology, very, very powerful science, okay? And so what it tells you, it gives you an understanding of yourself. In other words, you are a 12-dimensional being, okay? You have you have an aura. Your aura is 12-dimensional, okay? So you have all 12 signs. No one listening to this session is one sign, because you have your astrological anatomy, and your astrological anatomy tells you that your Aries rules your head, Taurus your throat, Gemini the arms, basically, Cancer the abdomen, Leo the another part of your body, the heart, and let's say the solar plexus, and so on and so forth. The intestines with Virgo, and so around. So we have all 12 signs in our energy field. At your birth, when you do a chart, you find out which, in other words, you could, for example, let's say you can be a Gemini and have 4 planets in Leo and be more Leo than the average person who has their energy prominent in their chart. So the astrology chart is a part of know thyself. So you don't have to do the trial and error thing. It's so sad to see us stumbling all over the place. And I see people who actually lose their lives by not adhering to the teachings, not finding out what's under the hood. See? Okay, so that is a major part of our teaching. For those of you who want to get the chart, then it will be an excellent thing to do because it tells you what your life purpose is, how you are wired physically, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. Because you see, we have to understand, brothers and sisters, also that we have 5 bodies. We have a consciousness, we have spirit, we have a soul, emotions, mind, and body. Physical, mental, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. And that represents you and I. I am. So you're not the spirit. We're not the soul. That's why the scriptures tell us that if you gain the whole world and lose your own soul, how unfortunate you are. And we save our soul by creating a center of gravity, as George Ivan Jeff used to tell us, the founder of the fourth way. The center of gravity here, the I am center, is strengthened and solidified by our adopting a name for the Lord, the deity. That name can be Jesus, Krishna, Amen-Ra, Ahoda Mazda, Olodamade. It can be whatever name that's been empowered by your culture, because that name is in your genes. So don't let anybody come along and say you shouldn't honor the name that's engraved on your genes because some so-called holy book has been tampered with. That's your cultural equity. And even if you decide to change that name or to adopt another name, you put it on top of that. So when I decided to become a Yoruba, it was thank you, Jesus, Oludamade. Or thank you, Jesus, all praise due to Allah. Well, thank you, Jesus, Ahoda Mazda. Well, thank you, Jesus, Amen-Ra. Add on, don't throw away. So this is your 5-dimensional vessel. You're not the body, the mind, the emotions, the soul, or the spirit. That's why we're told, gain the whole world and lose your own soul. You're blot out the book of life, because what happens is your memory of all your incarnations are etched, engraved, recorded on the fabric of your soul. I remember one of my favorite actresses, Sandra Bullock. She was in a movie where they stole her identity, blotted her out of the computer system. Or Kevin Costner, another one of my favorite actors. He Dancing with Wolves. He couldn't find his diary. That's the same as not having a spiritual anchor, gravity center. So, brothers and sisters, whatever you're doing, please adopt some religious path. And the word religion, in this course, I'm giving also a building a metaphysical vocabulary component. And that will show us how the words are so misused. See, what happened originally is that when words were invented by the Masonic Lodge, by other ancient sages, each word called on a particular force. And so when you say religion, that means to bind back. I don't know, religion. Stop being ignorant. Understand what the word means. Religion means to bind back to the source of your origin. Study the etymological history of the word that you use. and take us to a whole nother level of understanding. Please, please. I don't believe the Bible. The Bible's a wonderful book if you understand it symbolically. You cannot use it as a history book, because everything in the Bible, Christian Bible in other words, was here before with other ancient cultures. Nothing is original. It's all about symbolism. Understand that. And that's what we give the metaphysical, building a metaphysical vocabulary, okay? So the next focus that we take on here is we go into the very interesting study too that we deal with here, brothers and sisters, is the hold on, bear with me, okay? The tree of life. The tree of life, very interesting diagram, because the tree of life helps us to understand the 10 dimensions of our galaxy and the 10 dimensions of our individual being. And on this tree of life, we have every religion, every philosophy, every science on this master pattern. That's what it's called, master pattern. And in the study of the tree of life, okay, 10 commandments, 10 toes, 10 fingers. Because 10 is the number of manifestation. And studying the tree of life shows us how to eventually ascend from here and actually go through the 10th door and go to the higher spiritual realms. You see? So one of the reasons why we are having so much difficulty in our lives is because we're not understanding the sciences, the science of life. We're not realizing that this whole system, that we were created for the sole purpose of evolving our consciousness, of developing every aspect of this biocomputer, the human body, that's designed to download. You for example, some people have a shortwave radio. Most of us don't. Well, the human organism is designed like a shortwave radio, and it's designed to take in all the frequencies that annoy the planet 24/7, downloading through the pyramid, through the geographic, the geo pyramid in Giza. So we are so busy having fun and doing our thing. That's why we're suffering so much, brothers and sisters. Because we are not focused on the purpose of life. And the purpose of, if you plant flowers in a garden, you want them to open all their buds. So the Creator has made this wonderful human organism so we can open every brain cell, open all of our chakras, and bliss out. I have an album out, a CD album, Spiritual Redemption. One of the songs in this is The Drug Conspiracy. This human organism is designed to experience euphoria, but we don't have access or understand how to get it. And so we crack up, booze out, smoke up, sex up, trying to piece the bliss together that this organism has an appetite for. So the tree of life shows us how we're at this sphere right here. We're at this sphere here. So we have all of these other dimensions that we are not, that our centers are not open. In the Bible, we hear about 7 seals. The Statue of Liberty shows us 7 points on the crown, these 7 chakras. So this is why we're not getting it. This is why we're so unfulfilled. I sit and I walk sometimes into Walmart, I look at this whole aisle, a whole aisle of booze, I don't walk down the aisle. I don't even want that energy touching me. Because it's all part of your trick bag. It's drugs. Drugs is, oh, that's a terrible trick. And it's got the whole planet engulfed. Because the human organism is designed for euphoria. We're supposed to be high. But these chakras, these spiritual centers are not open, you see? And all the things that we're choosing the Creator of not taking it, of providing us with, are on these upper floors, waiting for us to travel up. But we can't do it on a dead diet. So we're locking ourselves down with the drugs and the flesh and the dead foods. And then blaming God. How ridiculous can we be? Okay. So these are the things we're going to study in a class, okay? So we're going to also show how we can begin to get more clarity on the seven chakras. We're going to get clarity on the science of meditation. We're going to show how we can improve every area of our life, you see. Every area of our life, once you understand the astrological teachings, then you understand that every area of your life at any time is being influenced by a different astrological vibration. And so what we do is we look at a person's chart and we find out what kind of lessons he or she has to learn in any particular period of their lives. Imagine a bunch of children, young people who are in a school who have no idea of what the curriculum is. So every year, every month, we're in a different area of our life prominently. And so our curriculum is there for us to be learning from. But we're not aware of what the curriculum is. So someone working for General Motors or some organization, but not understanding what their job description is. That's the global family's dilemma. One of Dr. King's words. You see? And that's why we're in such a dip. If you ask the average adult, what is the purpose of life? They really can't tell you what the purpose of life is. Not to be happy is to grow. 2 words: to grow, to evolve, to open every petal. And then we'll be happy. You see? Okay. So what I want to do is I'm going to let you know how you can register and be involved in this class. How you can begin to, to grow and evolve through learning the different sciences. What we are told also by the ancients, and it's really a true statement, is that once we get this energy, once we get this language of light embedded in our aura, then we'll see how teachings will just be drawn to us. Information, light. You see? So we can't continue as many people afraid or angry with God, angry with No, it's on us. God's not a deadbeat parent. We just refuse to hear the words, "Be ye perfect as your Father in heaven." Perfection means opening every brain cell. Why should a dolphin develop more brain cells and use more of its potentials than we do. Because it's not dumbing itself down. Every time you smoke a cigarette or a joint, drink some booze, which kills brain cells, put some flesh in your mouth, that's dead food, you're dumbing yourself down. You don't have to say, okay, I'm gonna do it right away, but we need to learn how to use all those activities creatively. Every one of the five senses. So that we understand that the way we make love, what we put in our system, the way we mate, what we do for a living, all of these things are affecting our consciousness and locking us down. And lastly, the most important activity right now, you probably notice that the days are going by faster. And you've heard this saying about end times, where you want to get beyond that whole born-again foolishness that end times being God punishing. No. We're at the end of an energy cycle. The time we're told for the earth to expand its consciousness is here. Time for the people on the planet Earth to graduate to another dimension. And they're saying, it's like when I was in D.C. years ago, I wanted to get more units of air conditioning in my brother's house, dear Jay Wiggins. I'm renting from him then. And we needed to bring in more BTUs. And we needed then to change the cable so that more BTUs could stream into the house. So after we did that, then we could bring in more BTUs. On my computer, for example, when I allow my gigabytes to burn out, then my 4G goes back to 3G. So we need to have a 5G hotspot, and the 5G energy is sweeping across the planet. But what it's doing is, because we're not developing our consciousness, is intensifying the negativity. It's more important than Black Lives Matter. The whole planet is in jeopardy. It's more important than any kind of bill that we're trying to pass. And the only way we can prepare our system for this higher frequency energy is to clean it out. So if you notice the days are going by faster, then that means we need to upgrade, change the wiring in this human organism so it becomes a more efficient biocomputer, so it can take in and express these higher frequency energies. And all the bills, all the things we're trying to pass and get okayed, get taken care of, moving to another space, will be fixed, because we'll be focusing on a higher level of consciousness. And unfortunately, as many of us know who are watching this webinar, 90% of the global family will not get that, because the discipline and the cleaning up that we need to do, they refuse to apply those disciplines. So please understand, it's like the Master Jesus told us, you cannot pour new wine into old bottles. So please call us, please get involved with having the webinars. They're going to be held once a week. We're going to send out a webinar to you dealing with the subject that I just outlined. The webinar is going to be $50 a month, and that will probably be for at least 24 weeks. You need to put in at least a half an hour a day. If you cannot do that, you might as well just save your time and money. We're more interested in people who want to learn and evolve their consciousness than your $50 a month. If you live in a so-called third world country, you know someone lives in one of those countries, you have a relative, a friend, associate rather, who is in a halfway house, in a disadvantaged situation, then we will send the organized to them for free. So God bless you. Please, let's move on to the next phase. I'm so glad that we were able to do this. And I want to thank all of the people. My dear brother, my dear brother Melvin Burnett. Brother Jay. Sister Alicia. Sister Carolyn Boothwell. Oh my God. And if I didn't mention your name, please forgive me. The Lord was dear soul, Gary Croft, who brought me to this particular point where we can share this information with you. Without them, it wouldn't be here. I'm standing on their shoulders and many other folks up that I haven't mentioned right now. So God bless you. Please look at the signs, whether it's Trump, whoever it is. Trump is in office, the Republicans are in office because it's an astrological prompting that put them there. Because we're moving into a very serious cycle. And like I often tell you about the guy that was beating this ox in the head as we went up the Himalayan mountains. And I said, why is he doing that? And another elder said, should get its attention. So if you're catching hell, if you're really going through some real deep, painful changes, life is trying to get your attention. You have no one to blame but yourself and your karma. But that can all be changed. If the floor we're living on was too hot and burning up, move up to a higher level. So God bless you. And I do hope that we'll be getting together again really soon. Bye-bye. Stay tuned, please.